Okay, we are moving to sentence correction 3, and we'll be looking at around 10 sentence correction in this session. So the first one says that shipwrecks are more likely to be found undisturbed at greater depth than in shallow coast waters, which, what is which? Shallow coast waters or shipwreckers, which exposes archaeological remains to turbulences and make them accessible to anyone in scuba gear, whether they be archaeologists, treasure hunters, or sport diver. So they're talking about something that remains undisturbed, which is at greater depth. So let's try to look into it. We'll start from the left and from the end to make our life easy. So it says, then in shallow coastal waters, as opposed to shallow coastal water along the coast, instead in shallow coast waters along the coast. Why two times shallow waters along the coast? Do we have? Okay, instead of shallow waters along the coast, instead of shallow coast waters. Okay, so let's try to look at into what's before that. So it says it's likely to be found undisturbed at greater depth than in shallow coast waters. So something is compared with in greater depth than in shallow coast waters. So comparison seems better with than in shallow coast waters, because we are not comparing coast, we are comparing great depth versus shallow depth. So instead of shallow, then in shallow coast water, or instead of shallow coast water makes more sense. Now let's look at the end what it says. Whether they be, okay, whether they be, it says including whether, including and is stupidity. D becomes our first elimination. We have two reasons to do that, because it exposes them. What is it? In scuba gear, whether. Okay, so D and E goes out because it's framed in the wrong way. We are left with A, B and C, as opposed to shallow water along the coast. That's too much wordy. We are left with A and B. Let's try to look at what would be better one. So then in shallow coast water, which exposes archaeological remains, where archaeological remains are exposed to, which archaeological remains to turbulences, okay, and are accessible to anyone, and makes them accessible. I think that's wordy, we can do it without that. Whether they be, again more wordy, so I think the best option becomes B here. So instead of is wrong way to do it, we are comparing two things. So then in shallow, as opposed to changes the meaning, and including is not something we are looking for. Let's move to the next. As the former chair of the planning board for 18 consecutive years and a board member for 28 years, John Peckel attended more than 400 meetings. Okay, so what was he? So as the former chair of the planning board versus the former chair as the chair of the planning board for 18 the board member for, okay, as the former chair. So board for 18 consecutive years. So the problem is that we have to find out whether he is the chair or he is the not. So of course we cannot make it former chair of the planning or she was. So it should be either as the former chair or as the chair. So that's the two things that we have to look into. So as the chair, I think as the chair, it's good enough. Former makes it redundant two times. So, and you cannot be former chairs for 18 consecutive years. So as the chair of board for 18 consecutive years, you did something. As a former chair, you will do something, but we are moving into the past. So as the chair becomes a better option. It's a little tricky one, but when we go back and we talk about it, it's like as the chair he did that and former is not seen again. So little controversial one. So whatever we did in the past was as the chair and now we are the former chair, so that's one way to look at it. It's in the point A. So very small line between the right and the wrong. Let's move to the third one. It says that unlike most severance packages which requires worker to stay until the last day scheduled to collect, workers at automobile company eligible for the severance package even if they find a new job before they are terminated. Okay, unlike most of, okay, so whenever we see unlike anything, we know that it's going to compare something. Unlike this, unlike A, B does this. So whenever we see unlike, we should be careful about that. So unlike most severance package where requires to stay until the last day scheduled to collect, comma, worker. So unlike severance package should be uh, compared with severance package in the automobile industry or something like that. It seems like they are comparing this unlike severance package which dot 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 workers. We cannot compare workers. So unlike severance package, where is the automobile company severance package? The automobile company severance offers the automobile severance package. So okay, so the A goes out, worker goes out, the automobile company offered no, automobile company severance package auto. So C, D and E are comparing the severance packages in the right way. So unlike severance package which requires worker to work until the last day that they are scheduled to collect, no, until their last day in order to collect, the automobile is available to workers. So required to stay until their last day, so the last day becomes not the right way to do it. So E creates a confusion. Some things can mean something that we don't want to convey, so we have to be careful about that. D becomes the best option here. So remember that we have to compare same things with the same thing. So severance package with the severance package, company with the company, worker with the worker. So that's our biggest hint here. Let's move to the fourth. An international group of more than 2000 scientists projected an average global warming that will be between 1.8 and 6.3 degree Fahrenheit by year 2000. Okay, now whenever I say this question, I would say that from to until then, and these are some idioms that are used. Projected average that will be between, projected average to be from to, that will average between dash and dash from 1.8 to 6.5 Fahrenheit warming to average. So global warming should be between from and to, that's of course there. So from 1.8 to something, that becomes a biggest hint, or it should be between something. So those are the two things that we want to look at. So project that will be between 1.8. okay, project an average global warming to be, project global warming that will average between, project an average, okay, this project an average global warming. Okay, so we have to say that they are projecting average global warming, and we are not allowed change in meaning. So project an average global warming to be from, to be is never preferred like being. So project, scientist, projects. So of course it's projects, they don't project, it's there are many scientists, so project makes C go out. So projects global warming to average from, projects an average global warming between. So D is good, but E is always better. So yeah, D also says a change in meaning, that it would increase, but we are not projecting an increase. We will say that it will lie somewhere between 1.8 to and 6.3. So next one says that ozone reaches high concentration 12 miles above the earth, where it has long appeared that it was immune from human influences. Be now the emission of that. Okay, so ozone is that's something that's happening. So something that's happening should be uh, between uh, something that is happening or something that has happened. So that's one thing that we have to derive, whether it has to be a has or it has to be had. So ozone reaches high concentration 12 miles over where it had long appeared to be immune. So we are talking about simple past, because we are not talking about the present. So we'll go with had. So had, that makes us with DNE, had long appeared immune to, had long appeared that it was immune to. So uh, E makes it a big ambiguous and wordy, because we are talking about ozone, so why to use it? So had appeared immune to do our job. So more of an idiomatic kind of a question. Not much of a logic here. Once you find out how to differentiate whether we are talking something and taking it in the present, that's going on right now, or something that ended in the past. So we thought that it had been something, but now we know that it's something different. Question 6 says the electronic company has unveiled that it claims to be the world's smallest network digital camera recorder, the length of which has less than 11 ounces. Okay. So in these type of questions, when the length becomes long, we have got a lot of hints. For example, here to be versus it, the length of which, what is which, digital cam recorder, smaller, which is that of a handlet, and it weighs less. What weighs less? Is it the handlet computer or is it the digital cam recorder? So it makes things weird in A, to be the smallest in the world, which is weighing. B goes out, and which is as long as handlet in the world. Okay, so which is again used in the wrong way, which is referring to the world, which should be close to the cam recorder. Then what it claims is the smallest digital cam recorder in the world, which is as long as, and no, we cannot change the meaning, and which is again placed in the right way. This is the world's smallest, which is as long as a computer, and which looks fine in the first look, is the world's smallest computer network, smallest network digital cam recorder, the length of which is that of handlet weighing. No, when we talk about E becomes wordy, awkward, and D seems to be better. Let's try to look more into D. Is the world's smallest computer network, which is as long as handlet, as long as it's used in the right way, and weights less than. So we cannot use weighing, or other words. So D becomes our best option here. Let's look at the explanation in a bit more detail. So it is referred in the wrong way. To be should be avoided, like being. Is the world's smallest, makes sense. Which should be close to what it is referring. It should point in the right direction. So which, it, all of these things should be close to what we want to convey. Let's move to the 7th. It says that since 1990 the global economy has grown more than it did during from the beginning agriculture to 1950. So in these type of questions, when we have a long thing, that makes our life very easy. So let's look into it. So there's a lot of idioms, from, to, more than between x and y, or since x and y. So since 1990, so since let's look at option B. Since 1990, the growth of global economy since 19 exceeds that. Okay. Okay, so the growth of economy since 1990 exceeds that which has been where C goes out. The growth of global economy since 1990 exceeds what it has been from 1000 years from when agriculture began to. Oh, this is weird. Now everything is mixed up. What is it? Exceeds what it has been. This, I don't get this. The growth of the global economy since 1919 exceed what it did for 10,000 years from the beginning of agriculture to 19. So what is placed probably in the not in the wrong way. So I think it would go in the way where A fits in the best from the given option. So between, and it should be closer to the global economy. So between 1990 and 2000, the global economy at the beginning of agriculture to. So from when is wrong, another. I think there is some problem because we did not had between here. So we had since. So maybe something wrong in the way I have put things here. So let's move to the 8th one. It says that the spectacular disintegration of a comet last year in full view of ground and space-based telescope provided new insights into how comets form and thus may force rethinking of role of comets in the delivery of organic compounds to the evolution of the Earth. So just some extra knowledge here that that will help you in the reading comprehension. That evolution is one of the favorite topics there. So they say that comet is one of the reason things evolved. There is some theories that say that life came on these comets. Some of the chemicals or compounds came off this comet, which caused life to move. Things like that. So the spectacular disintegration of a comet last year in full view of ground and space. That makes sounds weird, but who knows, this might be less weird than the other option. So the spectacular disintegration of a comet last year in full view of ground and space-based telescope provided new insight into how comets form and thus possibly forcing. New insights into how comets form and thus may force. Thus possibly forcing. I think may force is always better than possibly. And in full view, and the spectacular last year and full view. A, B are close. When comets spectacular disintegration occurred in full view, oh no, when comets disintegration occurred in full view of ground, this becomes weird. Last year in full view, so in full view of ground and space-based telescope should be close to that disintegration thing, because that disintegration thing is caught by the telescope. So last year in full view of ground telescope, the spectacular disintegration. No. So A and B are the closest option that we would have. Let's look into this. So in the spectacular disintegration of a comet last year in full view of ground telescope provided new insights into how comets form, and thus possibly forcing, and thus may force always is better. So A becomes the best option here. We are not left with much of the options to eliminate others. So let's move to the 9th one. It says that there are hopeful signs that we are shifting away from heavily intensive fossil fuel. More than 10 times energy generated through wind power than it was in 1990. So of course energy demand has increased, but at least we are shifting away. So 10 times as much energy is generated as it was, something like that. Even before reading I can say that it would be. So was it as 2 times as it was or something like that? Let's try to delve into it and see if we can get some answers. So more than 10 times as much energy is generated through. So of course we need a now will make it better, but generated to wind power now. It's now generated. through. I think now should be close to so 10 times, more than 10 times energy is now generated through wind power, as it was now generated wind power then was the case. I don't think we ever need then was the case, but let's see if not always the smaller one are the better ones, but now generated through wind power. Okay, we have to compare that case. We are signing that we are shifting from Reliance fuel. Okay, so more times as is generated through then it was the case in 90. So more than 10 times energy is generated through wind power then the energy that was generated through wind power in 1990. That would be the right comparison. We cannot compare the energy with the wind power, so that makes E a best option when we have to compare it in the right way. So it's about comparing right things with the right things. We have to be careful on that. Shorter might ignore and create other problems with us. So the 10th and the last one, it says that the sports medicine program of the Olympic Training Center, a complex where they're trying to find out for athletes, US Olympic, is geared toward enhancing athletes' performance and towards preparation for international competition. Okay, so what is being compared with what would be my main issue? And is it is or is it are? So let's find out. The sports medicine programs of Olympic training are complex where final time to have okay. US are geared towards. So programs are we referring to? We are not referring to the Olympic Center. So we are referring to programs. So we are left with R. So are geared towards enhancing the performance, athletes performance. Always apostrophe is not a good option when we have performance of at least. Another rule of the GMAT. So are geared to at least performance and their, what is there, and preparing them for international competition. So E becomes the best option. Few things here. Is, are, and weird, them, or something that makes it tough to understand should be avoided. Okay, so that would do it for this small video. I hope you liked it, learned some few new things. I'll catch you in the next